Hey everyone. What stocks are we gonna look at? PLTR Neo. Look at the QQQ. We'll look at GameStop. Look at AMC. Look at SUNW. Look at Epsil. Let's see, what else should we look at? Rocket. If you're hanging on the live stream, we're going to get started here in a few minutes. I'm just sending out this tweet, which you can see. I haven't done one of these before, so I'm figuring things out as I go, and I don't know how to like hide the screen that I'm on. So you're just going to watch me as I go different places. Which also means I can't currently see the chat, so I don't know, what to do about that, but that's okay. Maybe I'll just flip over and like look at the chat periodically. I'm streaming live right now. I'm live streaming right now. Let's say we're live streaming. Streaming. Okay. All right. Maybe we'll just get started and have a look. What's this guy talking about? What's going on with GME? Oh, GM. Holy crap. Like what? Oh, 120. What? Why is that even a question? All right. Let's see what we got going on here. Let's get to the 1 minute. All right, so I mean, here's what I've been looking at with GameStop the last like almost a week at this point, I guess. I've had most of this chart intact. You know, we've been saying it's going to draw down to these levels, and you know, it's bouncing in between these two. I'm still of the mindset that GameStop is going to hit 200 before it hits 80. So, you know, even if we drop down, I don't know, 20%, like I still think that we're going to push up to 200 before we drop down to 80. Nothing about that analysis has changed on my end. Here on the 30-minute chart, let's see how we're looking. Yeah, I mean, there's so much support here. This is like also what I've been saying. There's just so many levels of support that I've just started to call it a cushion of support. And so, you know, if it's really going to drop dramatically, you should see it coming from a mile away. There's much more opportunity to the upside here. I mean, look at the room to run. The problem that it's having right now is it can't establish itself over this 126.77, but I think it's okay because there's so much support underneath it. So once it does establish over that 126.77, you know, we should be able to push strong to that 143 zone. And I still think that that's the case. So in the chats, folks asking about Rocket. So let's take a look. I took a position in Rocket yesterday. Let's get off of this 30-minute chart. Ooh. I took a shower before this, so I haven't seen this. But this is looking good, obviously. Let's see. So yeah, this morning it broke down and it hit this level, which we had drawn in last night's video. So that was good. The nice thing about it hitting these levels is just that it lets me know that, you know, the areas that we've identified probably have some, are based in some reality. So I can trust the analysis that we did to some degree. And then it waffled around here. So now it's trying this 29.50. Yeah, so the question in the chat is if it'll get to 34 today. What I would be looking at here is, yeah, there's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing but a bunch of room to run between this 29.50 and this 33.40. The problem that it's having, though, is every time, like since it fell below this 29.50, every time that it's tried to breach that level, it keeps getting pushed back, right? So look at all of these tops that it's had here, and it keeps getting pushed back. I mean, luckily, you know, it looks like it's off of this 28.14 level right now, so it's not stuck underneath that like it was here. So that's good. So there's definitely a lot of good buying pressure coming into this right now. I'm telling you, sometimes, like, I mean, you know, I'm used to trading on the 1 minute chart, but I've started to notice that for, like, the analysis that we do at night and stuff like that, sometimes that 5 minute chart just feels so zen to me. I don't really have a better way to describe it. Just feels zen. So yeah, I think Rocket could, I mean, listen, 34 is going to be a tough nut to crack today. And this is going to feel a little bit like I'm penny pinching at the distinction that I'll make here. But I think that once it does get to that 33.40, I don't think it's going to run over that zone. Like, I don't think it's just going to like plow through it. I think it's going to bump up against that 33.40 a few times. And then if we're lucky, it can establish over that, but then it's quickly going to bump into this 34.95, which we had put on the chart the other day, which is where it got caught underneath yesterday and then had this big sell-off because it couldn't get over it. So 34, I mean, I don't know about that. But by the end of the week, so end of tomorrow, yeah, why not? Let's see what else is going on. So I looked at GameStop, I looked at Rocket. If you guys want to look at something, just let me know. I'm just going to kind of go through what I had recently been charting. I have my stop loss on NEO today. I don't think it hit it yet because I think I placed it at like 37.25 or something like that. That number's not quite right, but it was something under this 37.80 bottom. But these are the levels that we drew in on last night's fresh analysis video. Yeah, so I mean, luckily it bounced off that zone because, again, that just tells me that this chart is pretty well intact. And this morning I had tweeted out that if NEO can establish and hold this, what I was calling blue box of hope, I think, or something like that, that's, it might be able to turn itself around and get on a better track. So it's had such a struggle lately that it just needs a turnaround. And I was glad to see that it held this 38.23 level, but it really needs to get over this 41.39 and establish that as support. Obviously, right now it's still acting as resistance, which there's just been so much selling pressure on this stock that it's just having a hard time with it, which is, not surprising. But I think I had put, on the video last night, I had drawn in this big red box because this is sort of like, into no man's land here. Like if NEO can't hold this 38.23 and then it falls into this red box and gets stuck under this 35.74, I think that it's just like, it's in really uncharted territory there. And my worry is that it drops well into the 20s if that happens. So that's why I got my stop losses on it. I do think, today's price action is giving some promise, which is kind of sad because it's down almost 3%, and it's sad that that's sort of like giving some hope, but so it goes. Let's see, CCIV. Oh, it was actually CCIV. So I misspoke. It wasn't NEO where I said there was this box of hope on my Twitter this morning. It was CCIV. I had drawn this box in just before open as I drew it right here where it was, I think. So this was about 9:20 in the morning, and said, if it can establish over this box today, then I think we have a possibility. Because the interesting thing about CCIV is if we look over this level, like percentage-wise, this is a big gain, right? 22.96, so just call it 23 to 26. Like $3 is over a 10% gain. And so I think that there's a lot of room to run if it can stay in this box of hope. And then the additional nice thing is that it should have additional room to run up to that 30 level without a ton of friction, as far as I can see. There might be a little bit developing here in this like 27, like high 27s, but nothing that's super crazy. Okay, I mean mid 27 to mid 28, there might be a little stickiness there, but otherwise, like if we establish over this 26.20, then I don't think that we're going to drop back down below it. I don't think it would be one of those situations which we see in some stocks where it's like it goes up over this support and tests this higher one and then drops all the way back down 2 levels and then comes back up. I don't think that CCIV would do that because these levels are so far apart. And I think that part of the reason that they're so far apart is because I think that they're so strong. But remember, if they're strong support, they're also strong resistance. So that's where the challenge comes in. Let's get out a tweet here, see if anyone else wants to come hang out. People are funny. I think it'll go up. Yeah. Okay. How's the audio here, by the way? Because I don't have any setup. I'm literally just talking into my MacBook microphone. This is my first live stream, so I just wanted to see how it goes. Taking a look at the live chart right now. If you want to join the stream, oh, what's my okay. In the days ahead, we'll get fancier and we'll have things like I'll be able to do this but leave you guys on the chart. But I don't know how to do that yet. So what do I want to say right there? So we're looking at RKT, looking at CCIV. My goodness, Daniel. Neo, AMC, GME. What else are people freaking out about? Look at the QQQ. Oh, it's super zoomed in. I wonder why that is. Oh, I see what you're saying. When I get back to the chart, let's see if it's any better. What else should we look at? Whoops. Jesus. SUNW. We could look at Excel. I don't know. What else is there? Oh, PLTR we should look at. PLTR. All right. Stocks. Trading. Live stream. I don't know. Is that a thing? Sure. Okay. All right. Let's see. So SUNW is dropping hot. I cut loss it last week, so I haven't been looking since I made the video and then cut loss. So let me see. Wee-hoo! Oh man, these growth stocks are just the slaughter that they've endured, or that they've been going through, is just crazy. So this would be an old chart that I drew. This would have been from a video that I put out probably Sunday or Monday. So I would have drawn this over the weekend. So this is back on the 23rd. Yeah, so it was already, I mean, it's just, it's hitting these zones okay, and it like keeps consolidating on them, but it can't find a footing, huh? Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that I cut loss this one. I was tweeting out yesterday to folks, to like, there's so much that goes on with this diamond hands right now, which like I get. But, there's also something to be said for cutting your losses and taking that money and putting it into something that is going to benefit you. Because like continuing to average down and or trying to make back the money. So for instance, like if you bought SUNW up here at like 18 and now it's here, like the idea that you're just going to hold this till SUNW gets back above 18 just isn't a very efficient use of your money. if you're trading. If you're investing, you're sort of in a different story. But I mean, even there, you should have some kind of like thresholds that you that you can adhere to. So, you know, I would just say, like, there's no shame in hitting your cut loss and then taking that money and doing something else with it that's going to earn you back what you lost. And a lot of times you're not going to earn back what you lost with the stock that you lost it in. Or if you're really, really fixated on that stock, you know, why not get out and then keep analyzing it, keep up with the charts and with the news and what's happening. And once it starts to show signs of life and it's sort of like making sense on a bullish chart that you've identified, then get back into it, make your money back that way. You know, I've just always found that like the anxiety that leads up to cut loss is much, much greater than the reality. So like after I am out of a position that I lost money on, I actually feel such a sense of relief that I can like go look at other good opportunities and I have money to get into them. So that's my soapbox. But take it for what you will. I know everyone's different. That's just sort of like my philosophy and what I've noticed. Did SUNW hit a bottom is the question. I mean, this red was my cut loss like price target from a week ago because I thought that if it got below that price and it couldn't stay above it, that it was probably in for a greater drop. And part of the reason that I think that is because like there's this area here, which you'll see with the bottom of this red candle and the top of this big green candle. You know, that's going to be a potential like area for further dropping. And then there's this one. I mean, these are areas where like if it gets to these, I mean, it's just, it already will have fallen so much, but I mean, you could legitimately be going back to like this kind of a range. Like I know it seems nutty, but these growth stocks are predicated on a certain level of market strength overall that can carry them through the fact that their valuations get so high. You know, you need a market where optimism is ruling the day, and when that turns against you, like we've seen lately, then these growth stocks just get slaughtered. So I'll zoom back out so you can see that for another sec if you need. But I mean, if you're still in SUNW, this is what I'd be looking for. This is on the daily right now, but that 1095, I mean, yeah, I would be looking for it to like hold that. I mean, your best case scenario is it just gets back over that red dotted line. Let's just take it to the 5 minute here. Gets back over that red dotted line, which it's still hitting as a point of resistance, and establishes that as support. Then you have some hope because there are some good run ranges here. Like it's a good run range, 1270 and then up to the mid 13s. So as a percentage of the stock price, that's actually pretty big, right? $1 change in SUNW is over 10%. So, or is, I guess, almost 10% at this point. So, you know, there is some potential, but I mean, if you're trying to claw back money from a position that you entered at 18, that's where I'm saying you might really want to consider how long that's going to take, and if that's the type of investment that you made, or were you trying to trade that stock, and you should sort of like treat it like a trade, not as a longer term investment. Just a thought. CLOV, yeah, we can take a look at CLOV. I cut loss on CLOV. Oh no, I didn't. I have a call option on it, which is basically worthless now, so I'm just keeping it because it's not worth like that thing that I just said in my situation in CLOV. It's worth like $8 or something now. It's not even worth, like, I'm not going to do something incredible with the $8. I'd rather just see if, you know, it turns around. I don't think it will. But I mean, it's still hitting these like ridiculously sticky zones, like this area right here. I mean, you see all the bottoming and topping that's happening here. I guess, I mean, this even stretches over to here. Like, these are just not good signs. I mean, it keeps coming down to these ridiculous levels. So it has a bit of a double bottom there. Man, I mean, this chart is just atrocious. I mean, this is back up here where I was saying that's a critical double bottom, and that was on the 26th. That was several days ago. That was last Friday. And I was saying that's the critical double bottom, which was true because as you see on my cursor here, once it couldn't get above that and it got stuck underneath, it just fell like a rock. So, I mean, your best hope, to be honest, is that like this is a new double bottom here. This one right here, that this is a new double bottom and that you can push off of it. But I mean, you've got to get yourselves over so many more zones. Here, let me draw you in a bunch more zones, and I'll just keep them on today's chart so you can sort of look for them. I mean, this is going to be a tough clawback, to be honest. My hope before it fell like a rock, like we just talked about, was that this was going to spring back like as quickly as it dropped. That was briefly my hope, but then when it couldn't hold that critical double bottom that we saw in the chart, I said, nope, not going to be a quick return. So, okay. So, I mean, you've got this zone here. It's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to have a bunch of these, man. This one here is going to be here. I mean, these are the things that I'll be looking for. And then like here. I mean, look, I'd say get yourself. Here, we'll do a green box like we do sometimes because the green means the money. I don't know if with this one it actually means the money. But listen, like you legitimately get yourself over this box in CLOV and you might be able to like start clawing back some money. Okay, but you've got to get yourself like a support level. Not just like it briefly comes over it and then drops back down and does this some more. But it needs a legit support level here at like 841. Okay, if that can happen, then you might have some room to run. I don't think your room to run, though, is back to this 939 like was on the original chart. You're going to get stuck under this red box, which we had filled in after that, after it just kept dropping. And you're going to get stuck. Let's see the dailies too much. You're going to get stuck. Okay. You'll probably get stuck here too. I might as well just put that there for fun. You're going to get stuck there too. All right. I mean, you got a lot of work to do to get, if you can get to 8, to get out of the 8s and get to 9. I mean, it's going to be really hard. And then you're immediately going to hit this red box, which is at like 901. Maybe it's even at 9. Yeah, it's like right at 9. So allocate your capital as best you can on any given day, but also just be realistic with what it is that you are trying to do. Are you trading? Are you investing? You know, are you looking to hold this for years and years or months and months? Or are you like, no, I'm trying to make money day to day or week to week, and I can't have money tied up in losing positions because there's no way to claw back out of it in that same stock. It's just not going to rebound fast enough. I mean, what you often see is that the drop is much faster than the rise. So as you're coming back and recovering, that's probably going to happen over a longer period of time than the drop. So just keep that in mind as you're trying to figure out what to do. Do I think CLOV found a bottom? No. I mean, I'm just not that kind of like an analyzer. Do I think this 742 is the bottom? Let me take a look and see if I have any other thoughts. I mean, there's just almost no way to know. Let's go with yes. Let's say, yeah, unless there's like some additional, like really bad information that we get, let's assume that it's going to be a really, really hard road back, but that this double bottom indicated a reversal and switching off of this terrible sell-off that it's had. That's just a guess. I mean, that's not something that I often get into in terms of like, it definitely found its bottom. CLOV. So we've talked about CLOV. What else are folks asking for? Anything else? Jordan, good luck. I'm sorry you're stuck in this one. Yeah, I got stuck in it too. But like I said, I'm just gonna eat it because it's so worthless to me at this point. That's okay. I mean, in those call positions in these like growth stocks, I sort of get into them because that's money that I'm okay parting with. But sometimes it's just fun to see if you can get your hypothesis to play out and have some extra skin in the game by throwing money into a call option. So that's all right. Just in case you guys haven't seen, I just wanted to say, in terms of like the scare that the market has had the last few weeks, this was in the video that I put out last night. Basically, I said this yellow box is our best chance for salvation, meaning like, that this was just a little bit of a healthy pullback in the market. This is specifically QQQ, which tracks the NASDAQ. And that this was just a bit of a healthy pullback because of the crazy growth that we saw throughout the second half of 2020. And that, then we can push back up toward all-time highs again. The flip side of that is if we get into this red box, I think we have potentially a big area to drop here, down to 293, say. So I'd be very cautious if we get in this red box. And then I said my biggest fear, if this wasn't just a healthy pullback, was that where we're going here is we're actually coming down to try to fill this gap. And if that happens, we're probably going to fill the entire gap, which means we're probably down around 275, 276, 277. And I mean, at that point, who knows what happens, because there's probably a lot of panicking going on in the market. But let's hope that that's not something that we have to contend with. But I mean, one thing to look for is just these drops on these red days are so much greater than the greens on the green days. I mean, we are barely green today after some hefty red days. And same thing that you see in the growth stocks, right? I mean, how beaten up has PLTR been? And then today it's having a green day, but it's having a 15 or 20% green day, right? It's having a 7 or 8, which is awesome. And in my video last night, I don't remember exactly what I said about PLTR, but everything was looking good to me. I still have this, my hypothesis is still that we're going to 30s, and it won't take us that long to get there. The original chart that I drew, in my opinion, still stands. This yellow zone was like cautionary because we're just a couple of support levels away from getting to that red, which could be really dangerous. Obviously, we hit the double bottom down there, and that sprung us into this latest reversal. We had like a quadruple bottom here, which I think I pointed out in last night's video, and that would be a good sign. So we continue to hit like healthy support bottoms, and so that's helping us push back up here. So if we get this 24.28 as legitimate support today, Then we can get into this blue box, which has been a long time consolidation zone. That's what we put out last week, was this like blue box consolidation zone. And so I don't think there's like a big risk of it like bumping off of it strongly. I don't think it's like going to be a big resistance zone. I think it's just going to kind of like go sideways in that box for a little bit. But that's when I think we're going to jump up pretty quickly to 30. So PLTR, I continue to be bullish on. I think this was a good dip for us to get. Oh man, NNDM. I cut loss out of this one too. I mean, this has had a phenomenally terrible drop. After this triple top up here, it just got eviscerated. So it's had like a full retracement back down to where it started this big run, from all the way down in the 7s. So yeah, I mean, I'm out of it now, so I haven't continued to look at it strongly. It's obviously in a world of hurt, and I didn't want to be in it anymore. So I think part of what I was looking at was like, I was worried that we're going to come down to this gap. And that would be, I mean, I'm not going to hold NNDM down into the 5s. Like, that's just nutty. So I'll look for it. I do think that it has a lot of potential. I think that it's probably a 3x growth stock in the coming months, but it's going to need the support of a market that's less jittery, and it's going to need some good news. So it can't do it just on its chart alone. CRSP I also stop loss out of. When you look at these, sometimes you're like, oh, we should have potentially seen that one coming. I mean, this is the 110. I mean, the video that I put out was basically like, is CRSP coming down to 100 or is it going to 200? So that was the question. It's hard to like put out the YouTube videos and not try to make them search friendly enough that people will find them, which then looks like clickbaity, but like also have some truth in the title, which is what I try to do. But that like question of like, is CRSP coming down to 100 or is it going to 200? Like, that to me was a legit question. But there is like a gap here that we could come down to. That was my worry about the 100. That's where that came from. See, this 98.08 is what that would cover. But this would be a level that I'd look at now for CRSP, 110. I do think that this stock, probably as a longer term hold, is on course for something like $300, because they are actually a really interesting company. What else do I want to look at? AMC, I mean, same thing that I've been saying for this entire week still stands with AMC. Even though it's kind of far away from it now, it needs to get over this 911 and establish that as support if it's going to have any hope of running up over 10. Because what I've been saying for this entire week is if it can't do that, my worry with AMC is that it's just going to lose steam, that the bulls can't continue to push it the way that they've been pushing it, without sort of like that 911 support as the bottom. It just has nothing to stand on, has nothing to springboard off of. And so it's just sort of like whimpering down into these lower support zones. And this doesn't have the support like GameStop has. This has one support level in the mid 7s, and then it's gonna look to be falling down into the high 6s. So, it's not looking great at the moment. I think, the biggest bullish hope, to be honest, is at this 750 level, which would cover this bottom here, and it would cover like these bottoms over here. That was sort of like a triple, if we count this one, a quadruple bottom, and that it can push off that now. But I mean, it's got to move much more like distinctly than it's moving now. Like aggressively, it's got to move much more aggressively because it's just lost so much momentum that it needs some like aggressive moves up. And this is not that. I mean, obviously it's down today, so it's not an aggressive move up. So, but yeah, so I'm not super enthusiastic about AMC at the moment. It needs to turn around. GameStop, though, I still think it's looking fine. If you didn't see me talk about that earlier, it keeps bouncing off these zones that we've had drawn on here since last Friday. But that's fine. I mean, in my tweet this morning, I said I hope it doesn't just bounce between these two zones, and these are the zones I was talking about, 117 to 126, which it is, you know, because my worry there is that if it keeps bouncing between these zones, that that a fall to 112 is more imminent than a jump to 143. So this too is going to suffer from lack of momentum and just sort of like whimpering out if it doesn't get some upward pressure. Rockets come back down a little bit, it looks like. Yep. When I first started the stream, is this right? It was like pushing up at this level, but obviously it got pushed off of it. So it's getting drawn back to this zone now, which is not surprising. That's why I call these the magnetic zones. If you look on my channel, you'll see my tutorial on there if you want to see how to draw these yourself. But these are just price points that the price action keeps getting drawn to. And so it's not always, you know, a bad sign if something goes above a zone and bounces off and comes back down to the zone. Because if this pushes off again and approaches here, we should be able to fly through it. And if we fly through it, then, you know, what that person was asking earlier, which like, can we get to 34? Then it makes it at least possible. But, you know, we got this room to run. 29.50 to 33.40. We just got to get over that 29.50. That's the hard part right now. That's what it's struggling with. I'm telling you, this 5-minute chart can be pretty zen. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to hop off unless somebody has another ticker that they would really like to take a look at. I do appreciate y'all hopping on. This is my very first live stream, so I don't know what I'm doing. And I'll get better at it, I'm sure. But I think we'll do these periodically during the day, sort of like checking on the charts, so I don't have to like send 5,000 tweets with screenshots, which make my desktop look like a garbage pile after every hour of every day. But yeah, if you're in these plays, you know, good luck. I wish you the best. If I wanted to sort of run down these, I'd be hopeful for you guys that CLOV has hit its bottom and that it's going to struggle up, but it's going to be a really slow clawback. SUNW, I think kind of the same thing. Rockets, I think is looking pretty good. It needs to just get over that 29.50. GameStop, I think is looking good. It has so many support levels underneath where it currently is that if it was actually going to fall through the floor, you'd see it coming from a mile away. NEO, I think, is looking better today than I expected it to be honest. So I have a little bit of hope there. We need to stay out of this red box of death that, you know, and if it can keep pushing off of these levels, that would be great. CCIV is obviously looking much better today. I do think that, you know, this is the blue box of hope that we talked about this morning, and it is maintaining above that right now, so that's a good sign. QQQ, like I said, keep an eye on this yellow box. This is where we want to, it's even okay if we get stuck here for a little while, but we don't want to drop out of it. That's where we see the real danger. AMC, I think, is not looking superb. Maybe this candle can turn into a hammer. But, I mean, it's just losing steam, in my opinion. PLTR, I think, is looking really good. I would feel solid about that. Well, I am in it. I was going to say if I was in it. I am in it. It's got to be careful with this, though. At the moment, what's happening? It's got to be careful with this. This is like a triple, quadruple top here. If it can't push higher than that, it's okay if it comes back down to it, but what I'd rather see it do is get like up here a little bit, like get into 2580 range, and then come back down here, and then push off again. So let's see what this candle does. This will be sort of like a telling moment. All right, folks. I will potentially get back on later. If not, I'll see you on Twitter. I'll send out my fresh analysis video tonight, and I appreciate it. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, or I guess just subscribed yet to the channel, please do that. It helps a ton. And I'll see you all later. Have a good one.